Hi and welcome, Joe here over at woollycottage.com on this chilly, wet, soggy morning. But I can't complain. The rest of the country is getting inundated with rain, which is not cool. Usually it's us, but for a change we're not. Everyone else is getting it. We're a little bit miffed that we're not getting any action. Anyway, this week's video is another preparation of a batt, and this time I want to show you really simple, really easy, very similar to prepping a batt, a roving, when you want to do a gradient spin. In other words, for example, if you have this roving and it starts off purple and then it goes into this maroony reddy colour and then it goes off into this orange colour, okay? So if you wanted to spin that up so that you would have a colour gradient all the way through, then you would split that literally in half and spin from the purple end on one bobbin and the other half from the purple end on the other bobbin, and then when you go to apply them both from the bobbin, you start from the same colour, which would end up being yellow, which is the last colour on the end of this. So it's exactly the same. I'm going to do the elbow join split divide. Excuse me, I've got a bit of fluff up my snot. I'm going to do the elbow join again like I did last week, but first I need to split the batt in half, and then I'm going to go off and spin it, and I'll film a little bit of that, but it's so long-winded that you really don't want to see me sitting spinning. So it'll be a mix of doing what I'm doing, but then when I get onto the second bobbin, I'll remind you where to start. And then it's always the same, isn't it? When you go and do your spinning, you can never find that third bobbin for plying. So I will have to ply it on my little electric wheel spinner, but I am doing the two bobbins on my Kromsky Fantasia, my double treadle wheel. And I can't find any small bobbins for that, so I'm not even going to bother changing my flyer over. It's one of those mornings, it's Monday, you can never find anything that you want on a Monday unless it's working. Right, so I'm going to do this and I'll catch you in a sec. Okay, so last week we split the batt, didn't we? And we did the lines and we cut through the sections. So I do something to my batts to make them a little bit longer. Hence the questions I've been getting, how do you make that batt so big? It's just a technique that I do so that I can get them into my organza bags when they're ready for selling. So I'm not going to divulge that, but I promise you it is just a normal batt off my jumbo drum carder. It's just a technique that I've always done, and bless Mary Bichette, she says just tell people you tickle the batt, so we're going to go with that. I just tickle my batt. So in the middle here, which I'll fold this out a little bit, is this section here. So I'm literally going to just grab it in the middle. Well, I'm going to do this gently. I'm not going to grab it in the middle. I'm going to tear it through the middle here, just loosen these fibres off and turn it into two full lengths of batt. I'm trying to do this in the middle so that I have as equal as I can possibly get it in weight. Okay, so you can see that I'm getting that half there, and I'm just ever so gently pulling this off, just gathering it in my hand and pulling this section off here so I can get the same amount of fibre on both lengths. Right, that was quite simple enough to do. So there we go, there's one half, okay, and there on top is the other half. So I'm going to save this piece, I'm going to stick it to one side, and I'm going to prep this exactly the same way as how I'm going to prep this one now. So I'm going to put that there. So I've got three colourways in here, and you can see them along. So I've got this dark brown, which is an Icelandic, and then I go into here and I have this Gotland, which is a fawny colour, and then this one over here is a mixture of the Gotland, so it gradiates through. So you've got this dark colour going into a beige, so you've got a mixture of both in this section, and then it goes through to the beige colour, which then mixes through into this darkest phase here, which is this I suppose coffee brown, and that's the Suffolk that's on this side. So I'm just going to strip it like I did last week, and I do elbow join, so about an inch and a bit length all the way down until I get to about 3 and a bit inches from the bottom. There we go, and I'm going to keep repeating that all the way up and just follow it through like I did on last week's video. All the way up. There we go, down to there, then back over this way. And then over here. Now not everybody likes these fibres because they find them quite coarse, but they're traditional fibres, the Icelandic and the Gotland, and then you've got the Hebridean and the Shetland wools for spinning with traditionally, and they have their purposes. People use them for weaving with as well as for knitting with. There's a brilliant book, I will reference it later on. It's a knitting book that I have, and it's all about, it's a really good book, it's quite fascinating, and it's about Icelandic knitting and the history of it, and how they prepare their wool, because they spin their wools in singles, and I think it's called lupe wool, and that's how they knit their Icelandic wools, using I think, if I remember rightly, and I will double check it before at the end of this video, but they use their outside guard hairs as well as the fluffy section, and that's what they do. They process that over there, and they make the most amazing, really warm garments for their climate. So we'll go over to this bit. I will grab the book towards the end of this video and show you what I'm on about. It's a really interesting book. It's a bit like a tourist book, but with the history of their knitting tradition and some patterns in there as well. There we go. So I've done my elbow join again, and now I'm just going to draft this out all the way. All the way along, and I get to that elbow join there, that piece there, you can see it, that little noggin. So I'm just going to ever so gently draft that out. And there's another noggin there. And gently draft that out. I'd like to do my wools like this, not just because of the gradient that's in there, but though that really does help. And you can do this with multiple colours. If you've got like 5 colours along, then you can still spin your wool and keep those colours as uniformed as you possibly can when you're working with a batt. Sometimes I do wool batts that are just a solid colour all the way through, as in like literally one section is just that, then that, then that, then that, and I don't put any interlaying colours in between them to make it a mild effect. I literally do it as a gradient. But this will be more mild than it will, but it'll have a subtle gradient in there because I've got fibres, colour fibres that interlay in between. So I'll just keep doing this. Oh, there we go. I'll keep going, and because it's half the batt, it won't take me half as long as last week's ones did, which I've still got to spin up. I just haven't had a moment. So there we go. There's the next piece. I just need to. So this wool was called the Forester, that was on the website, and it was there for a little while, so I thought, well, I might as well use this. It's definitely not going to sell, very rarely. I always see comments of people saying, oh, you never get any traditional looking wools on the website. I'm like, well, I sell them. I sell not just merino, but a variety of other breeds, and I always find that they very rarely sell. It's just worthwhile experimenting with them, especially if you're a weaver, because you can always utilise it in something, in a project. Knitting wise, these are great for outdoor knitting, outdoor garments, jumpers and cardigans that you know you're going to have a shirt underneath, because the wool is a little bit coarser. You can easily make hard wearing socks out of them as well, because of the way that the structure of the wool is. It just means them a lot harder wearing. And if we've been using these wools for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, all the way back to the Vikings, then why can't we still use them now? Really, at the end of the day, these are ancient breed sheep. There we go, nearly at the end of this one, so I'm just getting into the darker section now. And that last bit of noggin there, I'm just going to be gentle with this, because I've played with it so much over the last couple of days that it's starting to get a little bit weak. But the batt doesn't have a lot of structure to it because of the coarseness of the fibre. So I'm just going to, again, gently braid this up so it's easy and manageable to work with. There we go. And I know to a few of you this will seem like common sense, but there's people out there that are new to this that wouldn't even think or even realise that you can do this. You can prepare your batt in a multitude of different ways, separate the colours into strips, get your phone and do a black and white, which I'll show you how to do that one day, and you'll be surprised how by doing black and white picture that certain colours you'd expect to be in the lighter spectrum are actually in the mid to dark spectrum depending on the pigments. So it's fun to play and organise your wool around like that. There we go. Right, nearly there. This is going to be a slightly tweedy wool as well because it has got some nets in there and it's got some tussar silk in it as well. So if I just wind this around, and then you can see how the colour graduation is going to work when I'm spinning this up. There you go. You've basically got a roving. So I'm going to pop off and do the second one, and then I'm ready to get going. Okay, so that's my second one done, and what I want to just remind you as well, once you've got your elbow join done, remember to braid from the draft from the same side that you had done before. So I'm going to draft from this side, which is the side that I started off before. Okay, and it might sound silly, but there's a reason. What difference would it make whether you drafted from one side or the other? Well, because when I drafted out the other one, I started from this side, okay, from this area of the back. And then when I braided it from that side. So when it goes to open at the end, it'll open from this lighter side. So I want to make sure that I'm spinning them both from the same colour end. If I started braiding it on this side, I'd end up being able to open up the braid from the dark side, which is just not going to work for what I want to do today. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing as what I did on the other one and just keep drafting it out. We've got an elbow joint here, we've got a little bit of a model up, but there we go. Fibres starting to gather on each other. And remember, when you get to these joins, just keep your hand over the top so they don't split apart, because they would do, and just leave it like that, and then you're on to the next section. I'm coming up to another elbow section here, and I'm just going to gather my hand in the middle and just make sure I don't split it right up where we got to that 3-inch gap at the top. There we go, and that means it will stay straight. And come to another section again. Don't pull too much, otherwise it will split. Not that it really matters, but you're trying to make sure you keep yourself in a rhythm without having to stop and start all the time, apart from undoing your braid as you're spinning along. And there's another elbow joint, so I'm just making sure that I draft from the other side of that elbow. Right, got a bit of a model going on here. There we go. So there's another elbow join there, so I'm just grabbing hold of that and drafting, making sure that I try and gather fibres from the other side of that elbow, and then keep going. There we go. Nearly there. There's second to last elbow, so I'm just going to make sure it's in my hand and that I start pulling from the other side. Oh. And there's my last one there. I'm just going to draft it gently, make sure I've got that middle section, and then start drafting from the other side of that split. Okay, and then again, make myself up a loose braid. It doesn't have to be tight, just enough to hold your work so it's kept neat and tidy. So if you have to stop, you know exactly where you are on the next section when you come back to your wheel. Excuse the noise in the background, it's my a 3D printer. You can't hear traffic or anything like that. It is my 3D printer. It's usually always on the go at the moment. There we go. So that's the side that I'm going to pull out from. It's the same on the other one. So there we go. That's one drafted and gradient roving there. Okay. Here's the other one. Okay, and as you'll see, if I pull out this bit, there's the light bit and there's the end that I'm going to be pulling from. Okay, so I sat down, got myself comfortable. Actually, I generally sit on the side of the on the edge of my chair. So now that I've got my roving my batt all drafted and braided into a faux roving, I am now just going to pull out a good chunk so I can start spinning it, and then I'll stop, check my gauge. Yep. Oh, where are we going? Up here. Not wrong one. Hold on a second. Check my gauge to see how my yarn is spinning up. And I generally, on this wheel, because I'm using my Kromsky and I've got my art flyer on it, I'll probably be spinning this at a DK weight. Okay, I can get it quite thin on here, but I'm just doing this for the video and it's a sample, and we'll see how it goes. I might use it in something, or I might just stick it on the website, depending. So that's me sorted and ready, and I'm going to spin from the light end, and that's really it. That's all I can tell you. So I'm going to keep spinning this all the way through. I'm just going to draft it out a little bit just to get me started, so I can thread through. I don't want too many strands, but then I know that I can't do it too thinly because I haven't got a standard flyer on here. I have got, I'm trying to turn you down. I have got my Kromsky Prelude, and it's a double treadle wheel, and it's got my art flyer on here, and this is the one that I'm going to be using. Only because my other one's downstairs, and the thought of lifting up the stairs is just too much today. Right, so make sure that my tension's just sitting nice, and I'm going to start spinning. Wait for the leader to catch up. Turn my tension down a little bit. There we go. And just like that. Yeah, the tension still needs to come down just a tad, because it just feels like it's trying to pull out my hand. There we go, that's better. And then just keep travelling at an even pace like you would do anyway. And got some neps in there, so I'm just letting them catch in. Some larger fluffy neps, not the small popping candy stuff that we were talking about last week on my live chat. On the live video, sorry. Yeah, it was my live chat. You know, sometimes you don't know where your week's gone. So I'm just going to keep spinning, and it'll be a bit of a job, but I will catch you when I'm towards the end of this, and then I'll get the other one on the other bobbin and get that spun up. So I've finished one bobbin. You can see there's the darker version, that's my end strand. So that's wrapped around there on this chunky bobbin. I've generally kept it going as a DK weight as a single. So now I'm going to get onto the next one and I will spin that along. There's textures in here, so I will stop this, put the video on when I'm spinning through, when I get to these textured areas, because there's some people that aren't really that keen on spinning with textures and find them really annoying, or that they fall out. And when I was on about the different textures on my chat the other week there, I think like there you've got just a silk in here, and it's really, it melts like butter and it just falls apart when you're spinning with it, and it's easy to manipulate it. You have to slow down a little bit and just do a little bit tweaking with your fingers as you're spinning. So when I get to points like that, when I'm further through, and the lumpy textures that are in there as well, like these big fat lumps of wool, and then I'll talk you through how I get over that obstacle and how I spin along with it. So I'm just going to get my spinning wheel started up, and you can listen along or watch along while a bit of music on, and I'll get on with this. And the quicker I get on with it, the quicker I can get it plied up and get this video finished. Okay. So I'm at the stage now that I'm ready to start applying off my wool in the gradient. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's worked. So both bobbins on the dark start, because that's my ends. So hopefully, if you've got it all set out right, and if you've done the elbow join roving, and you remembered to, when you divide it and then you go to draft it, just start from the end section that was the last bit to be split. Probably the best way to go, and then you can remember. And then when you go back to the beginning after drafting it, when you're at the start again, where you first started to split the wool into section, then you braid it from that end and end up over here. So when you go to start on braiding the fibre to spin with, you've got them both on the same side and same colour section. Okay, and we'll just turn this down. I may need to turn up my tension a little. There we go. I just need to take the tension off my laser Kate. There we go. And that's it. That's all you really need to do. You just spin and ply as you would do normally. Just remember, if you've spun in the clockwise direction with your wheel going clockwise while it's facing you, then you want to spin in the opposite direction, which is anti-clockwise, or if you're elsewhere in the world, counterclockwise, when you ply the yarns together, okay, which is called the Z twist. And I'm just going to keep going until both my bobbins are empty. So I'll catch you in a bit. So I'm currently playing bobbin chicken with my electric wheel 6. Now, when I did this batt, there is probably about 150, 160 grams of fibre. Jo didn't consider this when she was prepping the batts earlier on, did she? So now I'm just keep my fingers crossed that my my electric wheel doesn't decide to blow a gasket before I get most of this yarn on here. I'm literally playing bobbin chicken with these two little bits that I've got left on here. So we'll see how we go. I'm not going to get all of one on there, that's for sure. But you can hear the strain of that spinning wheel and the motor underneath it. I've had to tighten up the tension as high as I could. Yeah, I could probably go a bit more. I can turn up the motor a little bit and go try and go a little bit faster. But it's not going to work anymore. I'm genuinely just feeding the yarn and letting it ply itself. And all the bobbin motor is actually able to do is just like keep on turning to load the yarn on. So these are the mistakes you make all on the day of making a YouTube video. If I'd have thought ahead and actually hunted for the third bobbin I need from a Kromsky Fantasia, because I can't find it. I did have a hunt and it was nowhere to be found. Then I wouldn't be really having this problem, though I'd probably still be playing bobbin chicken, but it wouldn't be putting the strain of my electric wheel. But hey ho, we're challenging it. Let's think of it as a customer review to see how much yardage and weight I can get on an electric wheel 6 before I break it. Oh dear, Joe. I think we're nearly there. I'm just going to move. I've got the cheek to do it. Just move up my flyer arm just the tiniest bit. Come on. We know you can do it. You've literally got about, I don't know, 10 yards left. Listen to that. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to call it quits on that. I definitely don't think I'm going to get any more on there. We'll give it one more go. It's still taking it off, mate. Right, it's making too much squeak. I'm going to leave it there. And then I'm going to get my niddy noddy out and I'm going to get this wound up now. Go. So approximately 150 grams of a gradient yarn, and if we can just see from here where I've tied it up, where you can see there's the brown flecks from the beginnings of the roving, from we split it, then it goes more fawny beige, and then it goes into fawny beige, then into this darker colourway. So it is possible to spin a batt like you do a roving to get a gradient spin. You just have to think it through. Make sure you're not a Joe Oh dear. And spin up 150 grams of wool and wonder why you can't fit it all on your electric wheel. I literally have what, maybe about 15, no, not even that, 5 yards left over of wool on my bobbins to get to spin up, but I can do a tiny little mini skein and use it in a different project, or use it for tying up a parcel. But yeah, all this needs now is steam set. I very rarely wash my wools unless it's singles these days. I usually just steam set them all to help balance the curls. But you can see all those neps in there. See them in there? The woolly neps, and they're all trapped inside the fibres, and they're not that hard. I mean, you lose a couple, but the secret is to it, if you're blending your own batts and you want to do a tweedy yarn, the secret is make sure you blend any textures throughout the middle, throughout all the layers of your batt. Okay, don't worry about putting any on top unless you're doing it to sell. Then it's only for dress. It really doesn't show any type of practical use having stuff like that left on the top. It's generally just for photography, so you can do product photography, so the customer can see what's inside it. For yourself blending at home, make sure you just got it all the way through, but not too much in any one place. Make sure it's evenly. So if you've got like a little handful, there's never anything around when you're looking for it. So like, just for instance, I was using something like this, not that it is, and I had, just gonna be a pest in it, got that much fibre. I would literally split that and have that same amount equally through each of the layers that I'm doing. But you just give yourself that and decide how many layers that you're going to do as a repeat, and then make sure you use that in between just to give an equal ratio through your blending, which means when you go to spin it, it's all equal throughout. You're getting a fair share of that texture or those neps in your fibre. So there you go, one gradient spun art batt with an elbow joint preparation. It is possible. It's definitely a nice wool. It's ended up being a mix between a worsted DK and a Aran. So I use my wools for weaving with. I don't generally use them for knitting with, but that's not to say that you couldn't knit with it at all. Okay, but because it's got finished wool in there and it's still quite soft, it just needs a bit of steam to set it all, and it'll have a really lovely balance. I mean, look at that, it wants to automatically go and just hang anyway, and that's because of the type of fibres that I've used when I've blended this. So it'd have a lovely drape in it. But there you go. So I'm not going to count how many yards are in it, but it's that's definitely about 140 140 grams. Do or dare, push your your electric wheel 6 to its limits. That right. Well, I've been up here since 10:30, and it's nearly 3 o'clock now, and this is me only just finished the video on Feels of Love. My back's killing me, and he's brought me up a little gin just to finish off the rest of this video, and now I can go off and edit it. So chin chin everybody, hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, and I'm going to start putting these onto my website. They're yarn gauges with a grist on the ends of them and a width per inch. So your yarn measurements in there. So these will be turning up onto the shop. I did use mine while I was doing my spinning. My single was an average DK, and then once it's been plied up, it's ended up being roughly a worsted Aran. So there we go. It's a good guideline when you're sitting there and you're spinning and you're just new to it. But I wouldn't get too frustrated about it. It all depends on what you want it for. Not when you're starting out anyway. Right, so that's me off. I shall catch you this Saturday over on Instagram for a live chat. And then I shall be over on YouTube next Wednesday for a live chat as well, if you want to come over and join me. If that's the case, hit that subscribe and that bell button, and you should be alerted as to when I'm either live or I've uploaded a video. Pressing that like button, really appreciate it. It just helps the algorithm get people to notice me and recommend my videos for watching. If you'd like to donate me a cup of coffee, in my profile on my YouTube page, it's the main screen. If you just click on Willie Cottage, and it should take you through the profile page, there is a Ko-fi account on there from it's literally Willie Cottage Ko-fi account. You can go on there and you can buy me a cup of coffee. That is greatly appreciated, because things like these are coming out of my stock. As you know, I actually do these I provide to sell, not for actually my own usage. I have my own stock, my own personal stash that I use for my own work. These never get used by me, so this will probably pop up on the website in a blend, probably a art weaving pack, which is a couple on there at the moment with some of my hand spun wools in there, on the website. So yeah, thank you very much for watching today. You take care of yourselves. I shall catch you in a week or so. Bye for now.